So we got back from fishing, or ice fishing from the bank, whatever, but oh, that was pretty funny. But I think the topic of today's video is going to be, is keeping aquarium fish ethical? And I believe it is, and I will tell you why. So the reason I say yes is because if you have the right size tank, the right amount of fish, the right filtration, right lighting, right healthy environment, then your fish are going to thrive. They're going to eat, they're going to grow, they're going to live for a long time. Can't find him, but I've had my Oscar for like, I don't know, look back, maybe a month, maybe a month and a half. And he is growing, he's doing good. Right now, he's pretty small right now, so he is in the right size tank. But again, I'm getting a pretty big fish tank right there for my birthday in about 90 days. So he is going to live out his life, and he's going to grow, and he's going to live for about 20, 30 years, maybe longer. There are some cases where keeping fish is not ethical. Sorry, let me just take a quick drink. ASMR. Keeping fish in a small tank, not ethical. Joey, King of DIY, amazing fish keeper, always has like 5 times the amount of filtration. I have 40 times the amount of filtration in this tank, but that's not, you don't need that much. But when he first started in the hobby, he had a 10-gallon fish tank with a piranha in it, a red belly piranha. They get about 12 inches at biggest, and he did explain how he did have to give it back to the fish store, and he knows that that was a bad decision. At the time, he didn't. That would be an example of a non-ethical for the fish. That is absolutely okay, because he has amazing fish gallery, and he's doing amazing, so congratulations to him, obviously. But say a beta. This beta right here, my brother put it in a jar, basically. That is not ethical. There was no filter. He didn't have any place to swim. He was having a depressing life. So I bought this tank, and I put him in it, 2.5 gallons, still a little bit small, but he is living a much happier life. He swims around more. I do need to get a light for this tank. He is having a much better life. This beta, 6-gallon tank, 6.5-gallon tank, technically 6.7-gallon tank, but this is a perfect setup for a beta. If I put, those are fake plants, but you can put live plants in there. As you can see, there's algae growing, so this is a nice, healthy setup tank. And there is a filter in there for the right size tank, and he's doing amazing. Oscars. They are big fish. This fish is going to get about the width of this, probably bigger. This is 12 inches. He's going to get 14 to 16 inches. So, obviously, he's not going to live in here for much longer. But this, right now, this is a good setup for the fish I have. I have a filter that cycles this tank 40 times per hour. So that is perfect, and it's absolutely amazing. But I've seen people who put, like I said, betas in small tanks with no filtration. I don't believe in that. I don't think that should ever be, no fish should have that. Even though they say, oh yeah, they need like 0.5 to 0.1 gallons. That's literally like an ounce. Guys, you can't do that. But, putting it in a tank like that, that is okay, guys. It has a filter, it has a light, it has everything it needs, the right amount of gallons, but I think that it is ethical to keep them in fish tanks. Let's say they should be in the wild, which is true that Oscars do live in the wild. I mean, you go to South Florida, they are invasive, but they do live there, and they live in South America, places like that, and that is good. They should be in the wild. But at the same time, I believe with my heart that God did put certain fish on this earth that were meant to live in the wild and can also live a happy life in a tank. And I believe that that is why God put certain fish on this earth. Now, arapaimas, they should be kept in the wild. Even though you put them in a 12,000-gallon tank like they do at predatory fins, yes, they're living a happy life, but at the same time, they should be kept in the wild. They're the largest freshwater species of fish. In my opinion, they should be kept in the wild. Same as sharks. You can put them in a huge tank. They still should be kept in the wild. They are not really made. They were made to live in the wild and hunt and be predators. In my opinion, they should not be kept in tanks. But certain fish, like those tiger barbs right there, perfectly fine. They get about this big, maybe an inch, maybe a couple inches. It's perfectly fine for them to be kept in a tank. This catfish right there. it's only going to get about 5 inches. It's about 2.5, maybe 3 inches right now. But, guys, it's going to, again, it's going to go in this big tank that's going to be right here. And so is the Oscar. And it's a perfect setup for it right now. I mean, like, as you can see, maybe you guys can't see that well, there is good water flow in the top. The filter is working amazing. And it's a good filter, it's a good light, it's a good tank setup. There is algae growing, as you can see, that's why it's a little cloudy. And like, as you can see, algae is coming off as I scrape it. But that's good. You want stuff like that. If you go out into the wild and you look at the rocks, they're all green. That's algae, guys. That's good. So that's why I leave the algae on the back of the tank. And because it absorbs nitrates and nitrites, it's a good setup. It's really good for the fish. It's really good for the animals and the inhabitants in it. I have a snail in there that cleans up the algae and eats whatever it wants to. Guys, this is a good setup for a tank. As long as you tell them, oh yeah, I have the right size tank for them. It's good. It's been set up for a long time. Like, yeah, they'll sell it to you. And like, I've seen Fahaka puffers at PetSmart. It's like, do they not realize that fish needs at least 110 gallons at full grown, at least? And like, Joey King of DIY has it in a 110, and he is going to put it in a 120, I think he said in one of his videos. So like, he knows what he's doing, guys. He has 50 times the filtration per tank. He has amazing, like, he has literally amazing fish, amazing hobby. Go check out his channel. I mean, like, if you're obviously watching this, you might know who I'm talking about, the King of DIY. I actually get a lot of inspiration, and I learn a lot from him. Been watching him since I was like 5 years old. So, yeah, I think that it is ethical to keep certain fish in tanks. A lot of people say, oh, you have way too many fish in this tank. Look at the filter. That's a canister filter for a 30-gallon tank. There's a nice heater in there. The water temperature is good. There's literally plants in there, like so much oxygen in this tank. And cories, tiger barbs can be kept in a 10-gallon tank for the rest of their life. Now there's a goldfish in there. You can keep, like, at one point I had like 15 goldfish in here, but they do get like 6 to 8 to 10 inches long at full grown. People don't really know this, but they die quickly on people because they put them in tiny tanks with no filters. They just can't live that way. That goldfish right there will go into the pond when he gets bigger. And guys, as long as you have the right size tank and the right equipment for it, there is no reason why you shouldn't have an aquarium. And that's why aquariums get a bad reps, because like, oh yeah, you're just putting them in a tank for them to die. That's not true. If you know what you're doing. I had a beta in this tank for over a year. I've had that Oscar for 6 months. Like, all these fish, I've had those cories for over a year. Like, look at that. Look how big that female is. And they've actually bred in this tank. So, like, as you guys can tell, this is a really good setup. Kind of a vlog video, guys. But if you stayed tuned for this whole video, thank you. And, guys, let's get to 250 subscribers by March. I know we can get there, guys. I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.